coming back to school with me. We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson-Wood. I'm the board game teacher. Thanks for coming to my games room. Today we're taking a look at Mathemagicians Duel by BSGames. So before I get into the game itself, just a quick word about BSGames. It's interesting, B and S stands for Bill and Scott, and these are two people that I've known for many years now. Actually, I worked with Bill about 25 years ago. Ooh, that's making me feel old to say that. But yeah, so I've known these guys for a while, and they're actually now involved in making their own games. Scott is a teacher, and Bill's the artist for the games. And so Scott is really trying to focus on making games of educational quality and things because he's of the same mind that I am, understanding the value of education and board games and the role that board games can play in education. And so they joined forces to make BSGames. So in looking at the report card for Mathemagicians Duel, I'm going to give the number of players a C+. Now I give it the C+ because the box says that it's for 2 players. And when looking at games for the classroom, I do like to think of games and promote games that have higher number counts, can accommodate more players. So that is the ideal. However, with 2 players, that's 1 versus 1, but I don't think there's any reason you couldn't have it that you could have teams so that you have maybe 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other side, or even 2 versus 1 or whatever. I would just suggest that if you're doing that you make sure that you have groupings of like math ability, just so that 1 person or 2 people aren't just dominating the whole thing. So maybe in the future they'll be looking at expansions which can accommodate more players, but for now, according to the box, it's 2, which is the C, but to me it could be maybe up to bit, which gives it the plus. So for learning, I'm going to give this game a B+ with a caveat. And I give it the B+ because I think the learning that goes on in this game is really great. You're doing a lot of addition, subtraction things, and it's really helping with your addition and subtraction facts. And you're constantly doing them, you're constantly adding them again. The repetition that's happening in the game is just an integral part of the game. So that constant repetition of math facts, which I think is really important to learning the math facts, is there, it's present. Now I give it the caveat because right now it's only addition and subtraction, and I think that's good. But now in speaking with Scott about the game as we were playing, he did tell me that there is plans for future expansions which are going to include division and then multiplication and then integers, and so it's going to have a wider range, and so it will be very modifiable to include the other math facts as well and become a much larger, more all-encompassing game of the basic math facts than just the addition and subtraction. And so for that reason I give that caveat because I know it is going to be really good for all of the math facts eventually, but right now we're looking at just the addition and subtraction. For fun, I give the game a B+. I mean, Scott and I sat down, we played the game, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, you're trying to get your own number to cast your own spell, but then you can also play onto your opponent's cards to thwart them, to try to throw them off of their game. Of course, me being me, I once gave Scott exactly the card he needed in order to cast his spell, but oh well. Yeah, so the game is a lot of. So the game is a lot of fun, and I think that as you're going through it, you're so engrossed in the game that you're having such a good time playing the game that is where you lose the sight of the fact that you are practicing math, and so it's a good thing. So for learning, I'm going to give the game a B+, and I give it the B+ because I think it's a really fun game. Scott and I had played this game together when we met the other day, and in playing the game, you're really engrossed in what you're doing in the card play, in trying to achieve the numbers you need to cast your spell, but you can also play on your opponent's side to try and thwart their spell. And so as you're adding your own facts, you're adding their facts, and you're manipulating things to try to achieve your goals and thwart their goals, you're losing sight of the fact that as you're trying to achieve your goals and thwart their goals, you are having to do so by adding and subtracting the numbers over and over again as you're rechecking what they're at and where you're at. And so that's the best part of it, is that it is so much fun that you are losing sight of the fact that what you're doing is math. And so that's the kind of thing that we want to be achieving with the games that we're playing, is achieving that level of fun so that we lose sight of the fact that, hey, we're actually doing math here, or whatever it is subject that it is. We are learning, but the learning is fun. For time, I'm going to give the game an A. I think the game is, the game played to its full extent, plays, they say on the box here, it plays for 30 to 45 minutes, which is great. It plays within a period. But it's, again, one of those kinds of games which I don't think that you need to play the full game for. You could play to a certain set time. You're going, okay, guys, you have 20 minutes to play, go play, do this, or half hour, 10 minutes, and at the end of that time, wherever people are at with the health, is the wizards are dueling each other. Whoever's done the most, cast the most spells, will be the one who wins, or does the most damage with the spells will be the one who wins. So I think that while playing a full game is obviously probably the best way to go, so that we're getting the full extent of it. But where time constraints say that you can't, then I still don't think there's any reason you just don't play. I think you can play, but just in a modified time frame. And the setup and the cleanup of this game is so easy, because it is just a bunch of cards, that it makes it very quick and easy to set up, very quick and easy to clean. So that's also very important, that we're not spending a lot of time setting up, cleaning up, because it's just no fun. So for cost, I'm going to give the game a B. In speaking to Scott about the game is going to cost, I think he said it was like $23.99 in retail. So about there. So that's something you can look at, and I think that's a decent price for a game like this, particularly seeing as this is a game made by an independent publisher, not by some giant publisher like Milton Bradley or Hasbro or something like that. This is two guys printing this themselves, putting it together themselves, doing this all on their own. And so I think to even be able to keep the cost as low as that is really good, because I know that it's not cheap to print these things. And I think that this game is worth it. I think that you should be considering this game for your classroom. Now, it says that it's for ages 9+, but in speaking with Scott about it, I really think that there's no reason that you couldn't play this game with grade 3s, maybe even grade 2s, because the reading isn't too onerous. I think for grade 2s they can get some help with the reading. Is not the main focus of the game, and the math that happens is with the single digit addition, subtraction, and they're just constantly going up and down the line. And I think again it's not too difficult. So I think you could actually play it with younger grades, younger ages as well. So I would say, to my recommendation, I would think 2 might be a bit of a stretch, but I think it's still possible. And then 3, 4, 5, and up for sure. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Mathemagicians. If you have any questions about Mathemagicians, or if you have any questions about BSGames, make sure that you go check them out on Facebook and Twitters. Just see what they're doing, because like I said, they've got a lot of projects on the go that they're doing. Really impressive, really sort of inspiring to me to see two people not just have these ideas in their head like I do, but actually doing something about it and actually getting the games out there. And I think what they're doing is really wonderful, honestly. And so if you have any more suggestions for things you might like to see on the channel, or if you want to see more about maybe a playthrough with Mathemagicians, then leave me a message in the comment section below. But until next time, I'm Craig Thompson with the Board Game Teacher, saying thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school with me?